What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Renegade Gaming story. Today we're going to be talking about my origin story, basically, with video games, my first console, my first video games that I was able to play as a young child back in the good old days as they first started, really begun becoming popularized and things of that sort. Let's jump into it. So, basically, my first video game handheld device was a Nintendo DSi. At the time, my grandmother ended up getting that for me, I believe, in either 2008 or 2009, when there wasn't a lot happening, not a lot of crazy consoles. Now, obviously, the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 were already out, but she ended up getting me and my brother Nintendo DSs. Now, my brother got the Nintendo DS, I got the Nintendo DSi. It had the camera, as I'm sure you all remember if you played on it, and it had a handful of games, a handful of just awesome games. The first game I was able to play on there was Super Mario Bros. Definitely a game that was very enjoyable. I loved it. It was like an absolute grind session on the handheld device, and that basically was my first handheld device. Now, obviously, a lot of people, I'm sure, in the past have the setup where they had like a Game Boy and things of that sort. At the time, I was more of a Nintendo DSi guy instead of a Game Boy guy, so I was happy that she got us the Nintendo DSs, and we just played a bunch of that. We move on, though. The next console, my first true console that I was able to get was actually during the summertime on one of our school breaks. So summer break, my mom actually got me and my brother our first PlayStation 3. And this was the heavy PlayStation 3, and not the PS3 Slim or anything like that. It was the bulky one. So it had a little bit of weight to it and things of that sort. And PlayStation 3 was just my first true introduction to how it was to play on console, how the games were, the graphics were so much better than the handheld device I had played a year or two prior, and it was just an enjoyable experience. I had a lot of fun with the PlayStation 3, grinded out a bunch of things on that game. We played a lot of Madden, I remember at the time. Played a few story mode based games as well, but just mainly we were just grinding out, having a good old time, playing a lot of head-to-head matches, whether it was in sports games or of course on the same team in some multiplayer action as well. We were just grateful and happy that we were able to get a PlayStation 3 at the time. We fast forward basically about a year or two later, we ended up from that summer break going back to our dads, and we were able to buy, yes, a PlayStation 2. So it started with the PlayStation 3, but we actually went backwards with the PlayStation 2 because it was one of the consoles where it was on sale and things of that sort. And of course, those of you who've played on PlayStation 2, they definitely have a bunch of video games that are just very enjoyable. Whether it's the Grand Theft Auto series or any of that sort, or even Dynasty Warriors, that series was amazing on PlayStation 2. I got my first real introduction to it from the past, basically, with just playing a bunch of Dynasty Warriors all the time, playing a few Grand Theft Autos here and there, playing some Maddens occasionally as well, playing some FIFAs as well. It was just a fun time. I had a great time experiencing that. But we're going to stop right there, and we're going to talk about the true entertainment factor, the true value that I was able to get from getting my own console, as well as, of course, how our neighborhood was where we were located at the time. We were located in San Diego, California at the time, in a small apartment complex, but almost every resident had a child, basically. So we were able to interact with a bunch of our friends from around the area, from around the community, and going over to their houses, playing on their consoles, trying out different things, trying out different controllers, experimenting in the sense of looking at what's the next gaming console or game we wanted to buy, from literally having a trial run with our friends. And I remember playing a lot of Call of Duty at the time. Modern Warfare 2 was hot, Modern Warfare 3 was hot. We were just grinding out a bunch of COD and playing a whole bunch of custom lobbies, right? Side by side. So of course the screen sharing and all that, the 4 boxes, right? Left hand corner is my screen, right hand corner is my brother's screen. And of course, screen peeking was definitely one of those things where when we did play a lot on console, we try to avoid screen peeking, but it's kind of hard to do when literally your sole focus is a small corner box in the left-hand corner of your screen, and it's hard not to glance over and see where someone was on the map, basically, and then be able to surprise them. So that was in that intermission of PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, we were like trying out all the other consoles like Xbox 360, and so on and so forth. So it was definitely a great time at the time. But yeah, PlayStation 2 was after PS3. But in my opinion, I'm just going to say it straight up. I enjoyed the PlayStation 2 more so than the PS3 at the time for what video games I played. I grinded out the PlayStation 2. I feel like I played more PlayStation 2 than I did play PlayStation 3, which was just mind-boggling at the time because PlayStation 3 was like the hot console at the time. So it was kind of wild to get that experience by basically going backwards. You know what I mean? It was definitely a fun time. I enjoyed every second of it. So after the PlayStation 2, we go back to the handheld device. We got the PlayStation Portable, aka the PSP. That was another Sony handheld device, but this time it was my first Sony handheld device instead of course, from like as my first one was a Nintendo DSi. I loved the PlayStation Portable. The PlayStation Portable was one of those where you really kind of understood, like, okay, not only can you play handheld games that like are usually only on console, but you can kind of hook up your PlayStation Portable to like your PS3. And that was like a game changer because while other people were playing on their controllers, you can basically hook up to your PSP and still be able to have the same experience as a PlayStation 3 person would, just on a smaller screen, like a tiny screen. If you remember what it looked like, it was just amazing. It was an amazing opportunity to get another handheld device and see like what it was all about, because a lot of people and all my friends were hyping it up and they were like, hey man, the PlayStation Portable is so fun, has a lot of games, has a lot of options, and some of the games weren't even on PS3. So it kind of opened up my world to another bracket of video games that were set up for that handheld device. After the PlayStation Portable, we go to the Xbox 360, and this is where my love for gaming really took off. The Xbox 360 is one of the main consoles and the main focal points in my my main origin story, because the Xbox 360 opened me up not only to the YouTube aspect of things, because I wasn't really watching YouTube videos on PS3 or any of that. I was just, playing the game and just having fun with my brothers or with my friends. But the Xbox 360 opened up a world of everything. That's when I played my first true FIFA. Now, yeah, I played on PS2, but those were the old school FIFAs, right? Like FIFA 11, FIFA 12. That's when I started getting into the sports games heavily, because I was one of those of the mindset where the Xbox 360 is like the most pristine console for sports games, right? It did have its own story mode games, but at the end of the day, there weren't like a crazy selection, at least for someone like me who wasn't really interested in playing a lot of story mode games at the time. I was like grinding out FIFA and all of that. Quick break, intermission from Xbox 360. Check this out, okay? So when I got the Xbox 360, I believe I was in like maybe 4th, 5th, 6th grade, something around that time frame. And it was unique because what pretty much happened was the middle school I went to, right, in San Diego, California, they had an arcade. So we were part of the after school program. I was a part of the after school program, and I basically always went to the arcade. And what was sick and awesome about the arcade was that it had the one game in there that I always played with one of my friends, my school friends, and he was always there as well playing FIFA. It was FIFA 12. I remember this like so vividly, right? And I was just playing and playing and playing. We would play each other all the time. We would play with prime Real Madrid back in the day and prime Barcelona back in the day. Like, those were when they were like kings of the world, basically, and what they were able to do on a football field, aka a soccer field for those of you who are American. It was just an experience like no other. And it was amazing how they kind of structured the arcade, because it had the same arcade shapes and stuff like that and toggles, right? But it was a FIFA game inside of it, like you were playing on a console, but you're actually playing through an arcade machine. Like, that was amazing, and that kind of changed my perspective on how the games were really played, because I played a lot after school. I played a lot when I got home, played a lot of sports at the time, not only sports games but sports in general. So I was always trying to keep myself busy, basically, and not really worrying about what was going on outside the house, but more so, okay, let me challenge myself and see what I can do with the gaming. So we pick up back on the Xbox 360. That was pretty much like the console that really got me into gaming, and I just wanted to try every game possible. And from then on, I was basically an Xbox guy. Like, nobody could tell me different. I played Halo at the time as well with my friends on Xbox, and it was just like nobody could really say, well, PlayStation 3 was better at the time for someone like me, because I was just an Xbox head, man. I was just all over Xbox, and I didn't care like what else was out there. That was until the PlayStation Vita came along. When the PlayStation Vita came along, it had a bunch of the newer PlayStation games, right? And unfortunately, a lot of people would say it flopped. I would not say that it flopped. I would say that it had its time in the sun, right? It had its opportunity to kind of grow to a massive place because it was a handheld, basically PlayStation 3, better and upgraded by the PSP, right? Better graphics as well, longer battery life, all that stuff. And I was just not really worried about a lot of anything. I was happy about the PlayStation Vita because it just showed me a landscape and graphics upgrade that the PSP at the time, back when I had it, did not have. And I was like, I need to get this. I need to get this. Unfortunately, it lasted about, I want to say 6 months to a year, because it got to the point where it became stale for myself. And I wasn't really playing a lot of the newer games they were dropping because they weren't my cup of tea, basically. So that's why the PlayStation Vita, in my opinion, not that it flopped, it was just not... It was a handheld console that didn't have a long lifespan, I feel like, strictly because, obviously, a few years later, the PlayStation 4, Xbox One came out, and that pretty much like made the PS Vita obsolete. So... at least that's my opinion of what happened to the PS Vita, because it stopped producing games, and then everybody started saying, oh, this is not the hype anymore, so let's, drop off a little bit and try something different. We moved from the PlayStation Vita to the Xbox One, Xbox One S, and Xbox One X. So in that order, basically. I started with the Xbox One, and at the time, that was like in 2013 or so, something around that time, 2013, where they dropped Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, I didn't get the Xbox One until I want to say like 2014, 2015. Yes, 2015 actually. Yes. So what was happening was I was playing on my Xbox 360 still from 2011, 2012 to like maybe I want to say 2015, when my mom bought me an Xbox One. So I was thankful about that because it was an upgrade over the Xbox 360 at the time. And then, of course, as we know with certain consoles, once a new generation of console comes out, the older one is like, in a lot of people's eyes, it becomes obsolete, and they want to upgrade as quickly as possible. Whether that's sell it to GameStop, sell it on eBay, they want to get the new console as quickly as possible. So the Xbox One at the time was definitely a reinvention, basically. Had a better controller, a larger controller, but also it was just pretty much the console that I was like, hey, at the end of the day, I know there's a PlayStation 4 out there as well, but I was always an Xbox guy from the time of like 2011, 2012, and I was just always playing Xbox. I didn't really care about the PS3 at that time. We upgraded to the Xbox One S eventually. That was a very great console. It had a larger hard drive space, larger storage capacity, things like that, and it was just better graphically, like slightly enhanced graphically over the Xbox One. Then the Xbox One X as well was just the console that I thought was going to end everything, basically, because of how strong and powerful it was. It was basically like a PC. Like, it was graphically, it was fantastic. Loading times, it was great. It didn't really have a lot of issues for me. I enjoyed the heck out of it. So that was pretty much my experience with that. Within that time frame of the Xbox One, One S, and Xbox One X, I was also side by side playing PlayStation 4. Now, the PlayStation 4 that I got was the, I want to say Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4 one, I believe it was. And that was a game changer in the sense of the last time I played PlayStation console-wise was back a few years earlier, like about 5-6 years later, earlier, sorry. with the PlayStation 2. And the fact that I kind of skipped the console generation, even though I didn't, obviously, because I played the PlayStation 3 way back when. But the PlayStation 4 was more of my console for story mode based games, right? The PlayStation exclusives that they had at the time and things of that sort. I played a lot of Rocket League at the time with my friends, Grand Theft Auto 5 and things like that. More so a community console. I played with the PlayStation 4. On Xbox, I just played pretty much all solo games basically, because I already had a platform that was growing with my friends and things of that sort on PlayStation 4. We go from PlayStation 4 to PC. Now, PC is a unique concept. It's a unique platform, right? I bought in my opinion, right, and a lot of other people's opinion, a cheap PC, okay? I want to say it was $500, $600. That's not, well, that's reasonable for someone who's not really going to play a lot of games on it, right? It's a work computer, stuff like that. That's a great price, right? But for what I was trying to do with PC, it was a game. It was I was about to call PC a console. It was a platform that opened my eyes to what the future may hold for consoles, but also for platform computers, PCs, right? Or not platform computers, personal computers, sorry. And it was unique, right? I had an experience unlike any other. For a full month, I had no issues. It was smooth gameplay. I didn't have to pay for a subscription like Xbox Live or PlayStation Plus. It was just all free, basically. I played a bunch of, at the time, Call of Duty and things like that, and it was just a game changer. I played a lot of mouse and keyboard as well, but then realized I'm a controller guy, so it kind of changed my perspective there. But I was open to kind of learning what it was like to play on mouse and keyboard, and that was an interesting experience because you have to really learn all the keybinds and set them up the way you want to. So that was a unique experience, of course. And FOV sliders for certain games, right? If you guys don't know what FOV means, it's field of view. It basically shows you more if it's higher. If your FOV is lower, it shows you a smaller percentage of the screen basically and what's around you in your surrounding area. So that was a great experience. But then, unfortunately, with PCs, especially if they're cheaply made, you kind of got to upgrade it all the time. You always have to kind of fix it all the time. And I just didn't have the time for that or the money at the time. So I was like, I'm just going to go back to console. And man, was that a great decision, because I was probably going to spend over $300, $400, $500 more just to fix the PC. And I was like, I can't do that, man. I really can't. I'm glad I got the experience, but I couldn't do it. All right. After that PC, I got a gaming laptop. Okay, and that is what I'm kind of recording on right now. It's an Omen gaming laptop. If you guys watch my gaming setup video, link is in the description. Go ahead and check that out. I basically break down my entire gaming setup that I currently have. It's pretty basic for the most part, nothing really crazy, but at the end of the day, it gets the job done, and that's pretty much all that matters for my content, especially for what I'm doing right now. So guys, this gaming laptop, it's amazing because with this, now granted, obviously, you guys did not hear me going into the prices of all the consoles and the money we spent on all the consoles over the years, but the gaming laptop, there's a difference in quality and things like that when you go from a $500 PC to a $1,000 gaming laptop, which the main thing was why I even got the gaming laptop was because I sold my consoles to kind of see, okay, how much money would I get for that, and it was close to $1,000, $900 or something like that in consoles alone that I collected over the years. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to go for something like a gaming laptop, because this is the future, guys. At the end of the day, a lot of people are going to say, well, you're just saying that because, no, guys, I've experienced PC. I know what PC's like, right? Usually PC has better graphics. Now, obviously, PlayStation 5 has a word for that, but PlayStation 5 is crazy right now. So it's crazy load times, crazy graphical settings, and obviously being able to change from performance to, I believe, I'm trying to think of that other word. I'm sure it'll come up to me. Yeah, so it's just one of those things where once I got the gaming laptop, I'm like, I'm now able to stream. I'm now able to record properly. I'm now able to kind of do things, right? And if you guys were here like last year around, I want to say May, June, July, all that, guys, we played a bunch of Modern Warfare just on the gaming laptop, and there was no issues with it, right? Played months of that, and just grinded it out, streamed it, all that, and there were no real issues, you know? But then, obviously, guys, we come to modern day. We come to today, 2022. I have a PlayStation 5. Now, I know a lot of people out there, unfortunately, don't have a PlayStation 5 because of the scalpers raising up the prices, or you are located in a specific country where it's very and extremely hard to get. Literally, guys, it's almost impossible to get for retail price right now. It's one of these consoles where it's very unfortunate, and it kind of shows you how the console game is kind of going to not become obsolete. Not at all. Not at all. It's just going to slow down in a way because people can't upgrade. They can't get the console that they want. You know what I mean? Because it's literally like like it's extinct for retail price. Like, you cannot find one for retail price. And if you do, you're extremely fortunate and lucky. How I was able to get mine, right, was strictly from constantly checking. Well, so 2020, November and December of 2020, constantly checking Walmart, Target, Best Buy in the United States, checking these stores, seeing when they were going to go up and sell them and things like that. And obviously, guys, I can break down that story for another day, but I'm just going to say that I got extremely fortunate in getting one with the help of my brother. He was able to get it for me with my credit card and stuff like that, and I was like, dang, man, thank you for doing that, because if he didn't get it that night, I don't think I would have a PlayStation 5, and I would not be talking about it the way I'm talking about it right now. In my opinion, the PlayStation 5, guys, it's not worth more than, I want to say, $700, $800, $900. It's not worth that price, guys. At the end of the day, it's a console. Like, I could see if it's a PC over that price, okay, understandable. And with PCs, you can upgrade them whenever you want, basically, and not have to go the console route. But it's not worth well over $700 in my opinion. Like, it's a good console, it's a great console, but it's not worth the price over, like, basically a PC. If you are paying over $700 for a console, you might as well get a PC, in my opinion. Like, just because of how much more you can do on PC, and you're not limited, right? You could upgrade it whenever you want. You don't have to worry about waiting for the next console generation, the PlayStation 5 Pro, if they even release that, which wouldn't make sense right now because of how everything is on the market. But guys, obviously that is a topic we can get into on another video if you're interested in that. Obviously, guys, if you guys stayed all the way to the end of this, you are absolutely awesome. You're amazing. Thank you so much for your support. That is crazy. 22 minutes in. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm happy to break down basically my origin story with video games, consoles, things like that. Thank you all for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Obviously, if you did, hit the thumbs up on YouTube, subscribe if you're new. Obviously, on Spotify, Anchor, things of that sort, go ahead and follow the subscription feed. And obviously, guys, we'll be posting more things like this very, very soon. Thank you all for listening, and have a good one.